At 7:50 a.m. on the morning of the 16th of October, 2025, a column of 22 Russian armored vehicles, the largest subgroup counting 11 vehicles, including tanks and armored fighting vehicles, had just moved out of the Malynivka area. They were quietly advancing toward Shakhove, the position, where a Russian artillery cluster had been deployed to support a push toward Dobropillia. But none of them knew that every movement they made was being locked down by an electronic fire control network from across the border. From a ridge 9 kilometers to the southwest, a Furia reconnaissance UAV had trailed the column for 15 minutes, recording speeds, formation order, and the moment each vehicle crossed fixed markers. Its integrated FLIR sensors analyzed engine temperatures to determine which vehicles were heavily loaded and which served as command platforms. All data were encrypted and streamed straight to the Forward Artillery Control Center, where a 3-layer ambush plan was already set in place. On the commander screen, the targets were clear. The lead group, 6 vehicles, 2 T-72B3s, 3 BMP-2s, 1 BRDM-2 reconnaissance vehicle, the center group, 8 vehicles, 2 BRM-1K. Command vehicles, 2 Ural 4,320 ammunition trucks, 3 MTLBs towing field repair trailers, 1 auxiliary fuel truck, the rear group, 8 vehicles, 3 BMP-3s, 2 T-9A tanks, 3 Kamas fuel trucks. The total estimated logistics load reached more than 15 tons of artillery, rounds, explosives, fuel, and technical equipment. Among that load were approximately 12 tons of 122mm artillery rounds, roughly 320 to 360 shells, enough for the artillery cluster to sustain fire for 72 hours straight. 21,000 liters of diesel divided across the 3 Kamas trucks, sufficient to keep. Tanks, artillery, and mechanized units fueled for 2 to 3 days of continuous operations. A field repair node carried welding gear, recovery equipment, spare track sets, a generator, and technical first response systems for the front. Command and control communications. Suites were mounted on the 2 BRM-1K vehicles with the capability to coordinate artillery, UAVs, and infantry teams in the area. With just 22 vehicles, they could sustain the entire Dobropillia assault for 3 days, delivering deadly operational tempo unless stopped. They moved in an organized manner at a cruising speed of 40 kilometers per hour, in a half-combat, half-logistics formation, having just left the cover of a fixed air defense complex. From this moment, the column would be alone for 20 to 25 minutes, exposed across an open depression framed by sparse reeds and pine forest, with no observation posts before reaching the rally point on Shakhove's edge. During this stretch, the column hugged tree cover, hoping to remain concealed. But they did not know that with a precision intelligence network, Ukraine already had the time of appearance, the route, and had designed a perfect trap to funnel them in. Recon teams had surveyed the route early. The road the column had to take, one side radar masked by forest, the other side open fields without a turning point, was ideal to stage a 3-tier strike with near-zero escape probability. Ukraine's kamikaze FPV detachments were imp-placed at dawn. Each team consisted of 2 drones concealed within abandoned residential structures north of Shakhove. Low terrain with dense shrubbery and crossfield rice beds, excellent for camouflage. Each drone carried a penetrator warhead weighing 2.5 to 3.0 kilogram, programmed to self-destruct after 4 minutes if it failed to hit. The guidance systems were tuned using orthophos from the reconnaissance UAV, enabling the drones to fly low over the paddies, avoid RF exposure, and evade temporary emitter nodes the Russians had, planted along the route. Meanwhile, an engineering team of Azov prepared remote detonated mines. The PTKM-1R and TM-62 charges were not primed to annihilate immediately, but to force a miscue from Russian commanders. When a front wheel struck a mine, the instinctive reaction is dispersion, or a veer into open ground, or a halt to assess. That is when formation gaps begin to appear. When a command vehicle or an ammunition truck is pushed out of the column center, It becomes isolated, easily locked, and then the most vulnerable to destruction. The key that makes it all mesh is timing. 1 minute late, and the column might have reached civilian hamlets. 1 minute early, and the artillery would have missed the primary aim. But if struck at the exact instant, damaging just 2 to 3 core vehicles, the entire spearhead must stop. 3 kilometers away, a Mavic 3 drone was operating at an altitude of 120 meters, tilting to hold a tight tracking angle. GPS parameters, transmitted images, and target recognition algorithms allowed surveillance teams to lock onto distinct heat trails and the spacing between vehicles. In infrared imagery, the command vehicle glowed like a beating heart, hot and steady due to continuous comms operation. The fuel truck at the rear lay tarped, but heat, Leah.